His fifth grade teacher said he would either be dead or in a biker gang by age 20. She was wrong, and we have him. Hey, you got... This is Business Banter, and we have the guest of the century today for the banter.
Shall we bring him in?
I think we should. I mean, his teacher was wrong, so we might as well get him before he does actually go join a gang.
Hey, Jason.
I got some tattoos like the biker gang, but didn't make the cut.
Oh my gosh, I'm cracking up here. So today we're talking about procrastination versus implementation. In other words, the power of speed to being first to the market. And Jason is like the best to talk about this, right? I mean,
I love it. So Caren, I'm so excited about today's show. I can't wait to bring one of my closest friends, mentor, friend, and biker gang adjacent, speaker, trainer, author, extraordinaire. You guys, today in the banter box, we've got Jason Palliser. He has trained over 25,000 investors literally worldwide. And I don't even know what it is, not even, what he's really known for is helping people get off their butts and into complete action very, very fast. And he really is amazing at speed and implementation into a marketplace for primarily real estate investors. But this is going to be a conversation for all business owners that get stuck and are slow to make decisions and what it actually costs you and how to move through that. So, Jason, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So, I'm laughing because, Casey, when we were talking last week with Jason and you said the two of you, between you and Jason, you are faster, like you turn around on the dime and you do that. But Jason, I'm sure you agree with me. We miss all those really great stuff if we don't do that, right? We get left behind.
Yeah, correct. So everybody has the same opportunity on a daily basis to do things that make an impact on their business or keep their business running in place, right? So what I like to just plant the seed for business owners, more specifically real estate, most of the time, is that, hey, you can fine tune all you want, but just so you know, while you're getting ready to get started, to get ready, and I'm just gearing up to get ready, and then I'm going to press go after I've checked everything and done all this, that, and the other thing. Well, while you're doing that, I just casually walked by you and wrote a contract. And so there are things that you do in your business that make sense to kick things off. So instead of just analyzing and preparing and procrastinating because you're worried about one piece of the business, why not do the things that make the highest impact and get those things started immediately, so that you can be in the middle of getting things closed and getting the opportunities while you're also getting your rhythm. There's something to be said for preparation, but there's also something to be said for, like you said, procrastinating. And just I had a call this morning with a gentleman, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been preparing for a while." And the conversation you had the other night on a training got me off of my butt, and I made 3 offers. And he goes, and now I feel like I'm ready to roll. So that's what, as a business owner, that's what everybody that hears this needs to understand, is that as long as you have some framework in place, there's nothing that's going to replace full-blown taking action.
Agreed. Oh my gosh, I so agree. In the video world, same thing. How many people do we know that want that video to be exactly perfect, and they will sit there on it and do it over and over and over and over and over, and then they put it out and it doesn't even sound like them because they're so overproduced. So yeah. I'm always the first one to say, get it as comfortable as you are and just push it out there. Deal with it afterwards.
Yeah, 100% correct.
Yeah.
Well, I think it actually, for a lot of business owners, the speed in which things get implemented, I don't mean to go a little bit woo-woo on you guys, but I think a lot of it does come into play for how we were brought up and how fast we were implementing things and checking things out. And what I've always found is, as a business owner, just working with clients, one of the questions I ask them, and it kind of has a correlation, and I don't know if you guys will agree, I've seen this, and maybe I'm putting a mirror up, because for everybody watching, I got a little nervous today because the two fastest implementers of anything I know are both sitting here, and they are talking with me, who is not always the fastest at things. But one of the things that I ask clients, and even people that I'm interviewing, or they're interviewing me to work together, is how many places did you live growing up? And it seems like a weird question, but the people that move around a lot and had to very quickly adapt to new friends and new schools and new neighborhoods and new stores and new kind of friends and all of that kind of stuff seem to be faster at making decisions than somebody that's been in the same house in the same neighborhood for the betterment part of their upbringing. Like for me,
Yeah.
I lived in the same neighborhood. I had the same phone number. I had the same group of friends. I lived on the same street literally my whole life.
You had friends?
Well, they were SAG actors, and I sent them contracts.
Oh, okay. I was just
They
so
were
they're under
extras.
contract.
They were extras. But it was, my dad was super established as kind of the town veterinarian. My mom was in education. She was the town principal in high school. And I look at people that I work with that are like really fast at adapting.
Yeah.
And they're like the army brats. They're the ones that like had to move and jump and very quickly.
Well, what you're verbalizing, you can even boil it down even further, which it's real simple. It's comfort zone.
Yep.
For people to move forward to get stuff done, everything you just said is kind of, I know this stoplight is the stoplight in town that I hate because it's red the longest. You know all those things, so it's your comfort zone. So when you need to go do something new because you want to do something, you want to bring more things into your life from a business standpoint to give you more freedom. All of a sudden, when it's something that's not comfort zone to you, that's where paralysis sets in, right? So I've made a living and a career off of identifying that, staring people in the face, telling them you're in your comfort zone. You can lie to me right now if you would like to, but I know that's the case, and I'll prove it to you. I'm like, let's go make 10 offers at lunch. And then all of a sudden they start freaking out and going into convulsions because they got to overanalyze, well, is this the right area to do it? All these things happen. And so what I tell them is this: nothing replaces getting the ball rolling and taking action. Like in one example that I can use in some of the stuff that I do, probably the number one question I get, hey, Jason, I know you attack a marketplace 34 ways. I only know one or two to get a real estate deal, but like I need good motivated leads. If I hear that one more time, universe, I'm going to lose my mind. Here, I need good motivated leads and this and that. I got this vacant list. And so I fillet it open for him. I go, let me guess here. Okay, so you got a vacant list. It's a good list. Okay, so it's a good list for properties, but you could have 1,000 on that list. Call 1,000 people, and you might find 3 that might be interested. So 3 that might be interested in an offer. And so now all of a sudden I got people that are just going through stuff that feels safe and easy. And I go, well, wait a second. Would your business spin a lot faster if you graduated from still work the vacant list? No problem there because you're taking some sort of action. But could you maybe set that aside for a second and go after every for sale by owner in whatever cities you're in? And I guess I could. I go, could you make an offer to every single one of them? I guess. I go, well, doesn't it make sense logically to take action from this standpoint? You're talking to 1,000 people that say, pound salt, not for sale. How'd you get my number? But I'm telling you to make one simple shift and go from 1,000 people to 100 and make an offer to all 100, because what I know with certainty from execution standpoint is that you are now talking to 100 people that raised their hand and said, hear ye, I want to sell. Doesn't that make sense to move faster instead of overthinking and just doing something that you think is comfortable because you heard it on 50 different podcasts? And when I frame it that way, lo and behold, I break them of their comfort zone and action starts to happen. And so all that paralysis goes away. Then I teach them how to write contracts that have windows in them. So that means even if you got an accepted contract and now you're not sure what to do and you're freaking out, or most people would overanalyze and never even make an offer. Now I've got you to make an offer, but I also put safeguards in place. They realize, wow, the earth isn't going to crack open and swallow me. I can do this. I can push through the fear. And all of a sudden they're moving fast. They're like, hey, Jason, I made 50 offers this month. The previous 6 months, I made 4. So it's all about getting out of the comfort zone, which is what you said, which is what you're used to and what you know. So I do agree. You move around more, you are forced to do things,
Mhm.
right? And that's what people need that are entrepreneurs in a business. They need a push. They need to know that it's okay. They need to know that it's okay to make a mistake or take one step back because you're moving forward a lot faster. And when you start doing those things, all of a sudden your days look better, things become easier, and everybody starts kicking some ass.
And I think in every industry we find that. I mean, in the technology industry, I see that all the time. I will, because it's constantly changing, right? I mean, things are coming down the pike every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times. And we have to make a decision whether we're going to jump on it or not jump on it. I tend to say, oh my God, I'm too old to do this again. I just learned something else yesterday, but I take the risk. And to your point, Casey, I think I've moved every 7 years in my adult life. I have lived in so many different places, and it has forced me to pivot. And that's my favorite word, pivot. If we don't know how to pivot, we're going to get stuck.
Yeah,
Well,
were those moves court ordered or no?
some of them.
Yes, but we're not talking about that. Thank
Oh,
you.
it's a different show. Okay, my bad.
That's a different. Yeah, that's a different banter show. And what's funny is I lived in the same house my entire lifetime. I went to the same college. I did make one giant move that was very well thought out down here to Los Angeles, and I have lived in Los Angeles for almost 30 years now, and I have lived within a 3-mile radius of my first place, and I've
Wow.
only lived in 4 places here. So the funny thing is, I was sitting here thinking this makes so much sense in terms of the conversation, in terms of making investment decisions, even in the stock market, making decisions in looking at apartments. I was just sitting here and I was reminded of a story, and I don't even know if Jason will remember this, but I am a guy that will say over and over again, I drive my car until it literally falls apart. Even though I hate the car, I'm not a car person at all, so I don't even really like
I
cars.
remember the conversation.
And I had been looking for a vehicle for literally like 4 years. Literally, like
Remember.
actively looking to the point where my car had 235,000 miles on it. We called it the Moon Mobile because it's 235,000 miles to the moon. Like it became this like sort of running circular joke. And I remember one morning I was talking to Jason and he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to go look at another car. I'm going to go up to the dealer and just take a peek and look around." And I remember Jason being like, "You're driving off the lot with a car, so you better figure it out." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Call me back when you're driving your new car," and essentially hung up on me.
The push. You
And
needed that push.
that was the push. And I literally drive that. I literally came off the lot with a truck that I love. I still drive today. It's sometimes we just need a push. I mean, I just signed a major contract, 7 days ago, and needed a push to do that. And Jason, I bought a triplex just a couple of months ago. I was in that same space of procrastinating on making an offer, and I didn't really know what the process was. And so I think it's a practice that folks that are a little bit slower might need to practice intentionally and on purpose in order to move the needle forward. I mean, just going back to what you were saying about driving the same light, I live in Los Angeles. I know this town fairly well. And to Jason's point and Caren, to your point, sometimes I will try to take a different route, not knowing where I am
Right.
for this practice.
One of the things that I run everything through, the filter that I run everything through is I say to myself, what's the worst thing that can happen if I do this? The second question I ask is, can I live with that? And third, if I can, there is nothing stopping me from doing that. But I always do those 3 things because there may be something that is a reason I shouldn't be doing it. Generally not, but who knows? And if you ask yourself those questions, it's going to pop up.
Yeah, that's what I call a quick. And we set those in place for the people that we get our hands on. Is I call those quick protocols. All those are quick protocols. Does it do this? Am I going to survive? And if so, then there is no barrier, and there is no reason that I shouldn't take that action. It's all the brain working against you, second guessing all the neuro linguistic programming that's been going on for years for you to do the same things, get your rhythm. But the funny thing is, this is where I flip everyone on their head. I'm like, you've been doing the same thing for years. Well, that's cute because haven't you talked to me multiple times about I want to do this, I want to do that? So that's actually wired into your brain that I want to do this. I haven't done it yet. I want to do this. So all the other stuff that makes you say, "Well, I better overthink this a little bit." You also have programming in a different part of your brain that says, "I know I need to do this," and it keeps coming up, and it's not going to go away. So what can we do to put things in place to make sure that you take action? So it's really just training the entrepreneur's brain into the things that matter versus the things that don't matter, and that the things that we can get our rhythm on, and then also just developing a deliberate plan of attack to start getting results versus getting ready to plan to get ready to plan to intimate to get ready to go. And then all of a sudden it's December and you're like, oh, Super Bowl's coming up in a couple months. Like, come on.
And it's scary, right? It sometimes can be really, you can be fearful about doing this and you have to feel it. It's what's that expression? Feel the fear, do it anyways. And I sometimes know that if I am feeling the fear, then I should be doing this. That is exactly what I should be doing.
Correct. I equate the fear part to, I would say, hey, fear follows you around, but you could still be in charge. So I always say, hey, take fear to the bar with you, have some fun, and leave him or her the tab. And say, sorry, I got some things to do. Like,
that's a great quote.
It doesn't have to be the tail that wags the dog. You could still be in charge. Fear is healthy. Like you said, it lets you know that something's going to happen and something good can happen. And and you're not going to let anything stop you. So if you don't have any fear, I'd actually have more fear of that. Right? There's a healthy part of your body that says, okay, let me think through this, but don't overthink it.
Well, it seems that the speed conversation comes down to, on some level, creating a habit of embracing that and embracing the fear and embracing that uncomfortability and embracing that. I'm just thinking kind of out loud here, but it seems that we as business owners can start to change the conversation and the narrative about how fast we bring things to market, how fast we make decisions. Sometimes maybe doing that very quickly on small decisions with lower consequences versus bigger consequences, right? Like, somebody investing in a $20 million house, or I live in Los Angeles, a $20 million piece of property on the surface has bigger consequences than taking a left onto a road you've never been on before.
Correct. That's risk. So now we're entering the part where we talk about risk. Like here, when we say, myself and Caren, moving fast and implementing and doing those things, and that's what we're talking about here. You also have to evaluate risk, but risk should not be the tail that wags the dog. There's risk in everything. So you have to understand, do you have things in place to mitigate the risk? And if you focus on those things, then you should be able to move forward with some sort of reckless abandon, just so to speak, because you're doing it deliberately, having weighed the options. Example, if you're Apple coming out with the next version of the phone and you just speed to implement and you ignore all protocols, the phone's going to come out, everybody's going to return it, it's going to be glitchy. So there's certain things that take more time. But if you and I always equate it to teaching people real estate. If I teach you how to write a contract with little to no risk, wouldn't you make an offer on everything? If we have everything in place, we've said hi to fear. You have no place in what I'm about to do today. And now we've looked at the risk and said, okay, we can mitigate it by writing a contract the right way that gives us several different ways to exit the contract if it's not what we thought it was going to be. Then no one can stop me. Like whether I land in Los Angeles later today, if I feel like it, Casey, so be careful, or whether I fly to Phoenix, I can make more offers than anybody in that city, knowing that I have things that have mitigated my risk. So I'm not going to let procrastination seep in and go, okay, well, I'm going to find a good place for dinner tonight in Phoenix. And then tomorrow I'll start looking at property. I'll get in, make 15 offers and be like, okay, where's the nearest taco stand?
Okay, so let's take this the next step, right? Because I hear myself what my own internal response was to this, and I think people watching this might that are a little bit slower on the speed conveyor belt than even I am, is okay. Well, Jason gave a caveat there. The caveat is as long as there are things that mitigate risk, right? So then now the shift focuses to, okay, what are the things that mitigate risk, and now I've got to put those in place and work on those things in
Right.
order to come over here to make a faster decision.
Here, as an example, and let's just use outside of real estate for a second. You're going to start. You're going to set up an Amazon store, right? And you start evaluating things, but now all of a sudden you're procrastinating. Like, what's going to be the best product? I bought this tool and it tells me the most selling products, but I'm still choosing between 50 and this and that. If you have no risk because it's not your inventory, why not throw 10 of them out there and let the data tell me which ones win instead of trying to sit for 5 days or 2 weeks figuring out like you have to understand what type of risk involved. Is it a lot of risk? Is it a little bit of risk? And once that's been mitigated, nothing should slow you down. And folks, as you hear this, listen to this, there's a much better world to live in where you can move forward faster. If we could just rattle that cage of yours a little bit and get you to understand some of these things, then I know what waits for you on the back end, and all of us here are excited for that.
And it's funny because we started this show, Business Banter, 12 years ago. And we were first to the party. And, people said, what are you doing? What is this? What exactly is this? And I love the technology. And of course, Casey was the, low tech, big check guy. Now it's high tech, even bigger check, I think is what you say. But we jumped in and we just did it. And now we fast forward to now and look at all the shows, all the different people that have been doing all these things, hopefully taking their cue from people like us. And here we are back again with it even bigger and better. And we're not worried about comparisons to the other show or to anybody else's show because we know that we have mitigated any of those things.
Yeah, and I think you two should get royalties, don't you? I mean,
Oh,
if you guys are first to the party, right?
I
And
agree.
they're jumping on your bandwagon. Let's start sending out some letters. Again, spirit of taking action. I'll
Right.
start sending out those letters for you. Nothing can stop me.
Exactly. I love that.
Well, it's funny because a very I'm gonna take myself out of this conversation and just talk to you guys that are watching here for a second to show you how doing something so fast can actually reap a benefit when you don't even really think too much about it. I'll say that Jason is very deliberate and on purpose and with intention in pretty much everything he does. So one day we were talking, and I said, "Oh, I've got this huge portfolio of real estate investor meetup groups. I think I've got 50 of them or so, and I have a real estate investor Facebook group, and a real estate investor email list." And Jason was like, "Great. When are we doing? When are we doing a joint venture? When are we doing a partnership? When are we doing a webinar?" I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Great. We'll do it next week." Um, and so I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, we've never done it before." And I started, and literally, he was just like, "This is not happening. Here's my partner. Get it set up with him. Set the teams up. Like we're ready to rock and roll." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm going to be up in Seattle." He's like, "Great, no problem." And it turns out we had over 180 people register for that. And then at the end, we did really well with it. But the thing that came out of that was I said, gosh, I wish I could like add more value to that Facebook group and add more value to these meetup groups. And literally while I was talking with Jason, he forwarded me, I don't know, 15 different, I'll call them blog posts because they were longer than just your standardized Facebook, but like these posts that were chock full of value. And so over the last few weeks, I've literally just been copying and pasting them in the groups, giving him credit, of course. And I got thinking about it this morning. First off, the fact that he had those pre-written, ready to go, ready to rock and roll, sent them over to me, made my job really easy. I didn't have to come up with that. I didn't have to think about that. He's getting all the credit because I'm posting his content, but I'm giving him credit. It was very smart of him to be able to have that content ready.
Yeah, you were talking about, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, guess what? We're going to graduate from the I want to do's. And
Right.
I didn't even tell him it was happening. He was just talking to me and I was just hitting him with one after another, after another, after another. And I go, hey, Casey, check your email.
We all need a Jason in our life.
Well, I'll say this about both of you. Both of you have this same characteristic, and I'm obviously personally really good friends with both of you. And if you were to ask me to make a list of my friends that drive me crazy, that I love the most, and the two of you are at the top of the list. I mean, literally, we were supposed to be on this on the recording 15 minutes before we went to air, and I literally was getting ready to put on a shirt, and I saw my clock hit. I saw my phone hit. The minute I was supposed to be on, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get a text before I even get this shirt off this hanger. I am 18 seconds behind schedule. And literally, I couldn't respond fast. I'm like, oh my God.
But
Right.
it's why we get shit done, because we
It
have a
is,
structure, we have a system.
it is incredible. It is incredible and awful at the same time to be in both your spaces in such a good way, because I know that I have to play a better game, and I have to up my skill and up my level in order to play at that level in terms of speed and implementation. Because if I don't, as a business owner or as somebody who has consulting clients and investments and all that, um, I'll get left behind. I mean, it's truly the fear.
Well, yeah, I mean, here, and I didn't say this before we came
Oh,
on.
then this is where the mute button comes on. I can already, I don't even know where this is going, and I'm already nervous.
Woo! Hey! No, literally up until 10 seconds before I knew I was supposed to be on, logging in, checking. I was evaluating and I was racing against time to make an offer. Just so anybody knows, I'm down here in St. Pete, Florida. I just made an offer on 31st Street South. I'm not going to tell you the exact address just in case you hear this. I don't want to compete against you. I want to win, right? So, but I made an offer. I was racing against time to evaluate, and I made an offer lightning fast before we came on.
Wow.
And so, Jason, so I hear that, and obviously, I know, I have no doubt that that's occurring. What do you say? Both, I would love both of you to answer this, because I think this is one of the things that is counterintuitive. Um, I'll start with this premise. When I know I'm leaving on vacation, and I know I'm walking out the door. Yesterday, I ended up spending the afternoon at Disneyland, and I had an entire list of stuff that I couldn't leave my house until I got completed. I raced against the clock and got every single thing on that list done in order for my reward to be to go to Disneyland. Now, it was a big pain. It was super crowded and traffic was terrible, blah, blah, blah. But it was the motivator. Now, I'm going to say this. I know it's counterintuitive, but it seems to me when people are moving so fast that they don't have any free time, or that they don't have time because they're always doing something. They're always going so fast, and they're always like moving and shaking. And they're always making offers, and they're always doing Trello boards, and they're moving the data all around. I honestly, I get somewhat exhausted by it, but then I also look at on the other side and go, well, how is it that Jason and I can go in Florida and go walk around, and we don't eat, we don't have a whole lot to do? Can you just talk a tiny bit about, by getting so fast and by moving so fast and being the first to move and being the first to sort of get in, how that actually frees up time for you on the back end versus taking more time up front?
Sure, and I'll just tell you what my day consists of. My day, I wake up, um, I make sure my lead flows are doing what they're supposed to do. I talk to I talk to my VAs, and that is not how I run my business. That's just one piece of it. But those are the ones that are producing stuff and fine tuning things for me. I spend a half an hour doing that, and then I have a coffee right over there in the house, and then I walk in this direction, and I go walk for 2 hours. I'll respond to some emails, this and that, look stuff up. Folks, you have a phone. We have technology. We can use that to our advantage. So what I would tell you is this: once you feel comfortable with your risk, once you understand that there's fear, and the fear doesn't have to be the tail that wags the dog, and once you push through that initial, it's human nature, that initial piece of procrastination. Now all of a sudden you can see that you can move fast, and you've mitigated your risk, and you're taking purposeful action. You'll look up and realize, wow, things are happening. Wow, I got more done in 2 hours today than I would typically do in 4 days. Well, you deserve to go to lunch.
Right.
You deserve to have some hot wings like I like to do. You deserve to have a Bacardi and Diet Coke because it's 2 o'clock somewhere, not 5 o'clock, and you're semi-retired. All those things everyone that listens to this deserves, but it all centers around once you put some pieces in place and set the procrastination aside, looked fear in his face, said, you're not going to be the one that dictates what I do. And that's okay. Then say, okay, I can mitigate the risks. And there is nothing stopping you from taking full blown action again and again and again and again. If I was somebody that's just getting started, I would have overanalyzed that deal on 31st Street South, and I would have pulled comps, called 50 realtors, maybe to make myself feel better, rub it, squeeze it, love it, and then make an offer. But
Different meetup.
yeah, go to a meetup group. I got this deal. It's on 31st Street. What do you guys think? And do all that crap. Well, if you're doing that, then I'm going to casually walk by you, high five you, go
Right.
make an offer. And maybe I find out it's not what I thought it was going to be, but I have protections built into my contract. So once you get into the space of procrastination doesn't win. Fear has its place. Look at the risk and then take purposeful action towards it. Honestly, nothing's stopping you. And now you have a lot of free time because you're getting more done in a condensed amount of time. And you know it. None of us need to teach you this as you hear this. You know it. If you're moving that fast because now you feel comfortable, you get more done in one day than you do in a week. So why not take a day off?
So
Like,
true. I get up. I get up at a very early hour. I'm up between 3 and 4 in the morning. I just am, and I start to work almost immediately. I get up, I have my routine, I have my cappuccino, I do my thing, and I start to work. But I time box, and this is going to be a thing that maybe you've never heard of this if you're listening right now. Some of the best way to get stuff done is for me is to put it in my calendar. And so I know what I need to do. I time box. I literally section off my calendar and I say, at this time, I'm going to work on this project, which
yeah,
allows me to pick up more and more and more shows. Because if I didn't have that in place, I would literally be a chicken with my head cut off, running around trying to figure out, is Jason on this show? Am I doing a show with Casey, with somebody I wouldn't know? And so put systems in place, guys, and you will be able to actually do exactly what Jason is saying. You'll get your work done and then say, gee, I have all this time now. I'm going to go out and do. The other thing that I've noticed, though, is sometimes I'll feel guilty that I'm actually doing nothing. And should I be doing something else? And I remind myself that, in fact, I have my plan in place and there's nothing else I should be doing other than enjoying myself right now.
correct.
So let me ask you guys this. I think I know where you're going to go with it, but I think it's a topic that ultimately I don't think it's talked about enough in the context of businesses. And this is whether it's a real estate investor or a brick and mortar shoe company or a shoe store.
Yeah.
How important? And I know this is a softball question, but I want to tease this out for the next few minutes. How important are lead gen opportunities for businesses? Because what I find a lot of coaches and speakers and trainers talk about is, sometimes it's like putting a pole in the water to generate leads, right? A fishing pole to generate leads. But what they will say is, well, get one, dial it in, make sure the system's in place, before you move to another one. I'm curious both of your thoughts on that, because I look at lead gen for a business as a multi-prong approach. And ultimately, the more fishing poles that are in the water, the higher the likelihood you're going to catch a fish when you go through a school of fish if you're on a boat.
Yeah.
I know, Jason, in your 2-day blueprint, which, by the way, I could not recommend with a higher recommendation. I literally paid Jason for the course. He's one of my best friends. Got on an airplane, flew to Florida to go through the 2-day blueprint. And so I know where your answer is going to lie in this. But can you just talk about having, you've mentioned it a little bit previously. You've got 34 ways to generate leads versus one that somebody's getting kind of try to dial in.
Easy question to answer. So people like lead deals don't close, sales don't happen. You selling products, it doesn't matter what it is, without leads. Because I always ask, hey, raise your hand if you've ever closed a deal without a lead, and everybody laughs. And I'm like, in 25 years, no one's raised their hand. So we need to be world-class assassins at generating leads. Then it graduates to what you said. well, I'm doing this and I'm trying, I'm trying to get my rhythm and whatever that one lead source may be. Um, and as you said, we attack cities 34 ways because when I get hired by larger companies, I don't have the luxury of missing a deal. I need to get to all of the deals. So that can't be with just one fishing pole in the water. That can't just be with pre foreclosures. That can't just be with probate leads where people have passed away and you got to try and help the family, right? So, what I always tell everybody is get those up and running, and you should be devoting a portion of your time to developing another lead source that comes into you, right? So, that's what happened out of necessity over years. And what I found in taking that action was, oh, wow, this month, you know what? I got 4 contracts off of order to vacate because that's a level of motivation when you've been ordered to vacate, right? And but hey, this month I got most of my contracts off of pre foreclosure, and I could go on, I could go down the list. Like there's 4 things we do to grab stuff off of Facebook, right? There's code violations, water disconnects, cease and desist, order to vacate, probate, assisted living facilities, title companies. Why are you not best friends with junk removal companies? Don't you want to lead right when somebody's removing junk? I think that's the time you want to lead, right? So until somebody comes in and says, hey, why don't you, like a smart thing you can do as a business owner is learn from other people in whatever business you're in or in that space or what you're interested in that have been there, done that have skinned their knee, that have had a comfort zone and said, okay, well, I'm not meeting my new goals I set because I'm still in my comfort zone and I have to reevaluate. You have to generate leads to close business. So shouldn't you have the most possible lead funnels that lead back to your doorstep as possible? It just makes sense to do that. It doesn't make sense to fine tune the same thing for the next 6 years. And then you watch everyone else around you closing deals. And then now you're interested in this over here because you've had your head down so much. I didn't even know this technique existed.
That's gold.
Yeah,
Pull your head up. Pull your head up and see what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Don't get tunnel vision and put the blinders on because there might be the newest thing out there that's closing deals faster with 1/3 of the effort,
Right.
but you didn't know because man, I'm really getting good at this and my follow up and like it drives me crazy. Let's attack and let's suffocate a city for whatever business you're because you're everywhere.
It's funny. I mean, both of you know this. I used to speak on stages, and I used to literally stand on stage and sell a course or a CD set. That's how vintage we are. I am at least. I know Caren and Jason are both just turning 21. On 147 ways to generate leads, and that was designed because back in those days, I was in network marketing, kind of like the one of the easiest business models, in my opinion, to start fresh with. And I had 147 ways to generate leads. And that came out of people coming to me and saying to me in all different businesses, I don't know how to generate leads. I don't know where the leads are. I don't know how to generate leads. And I got so over going, okay, well, where are you? Let's rattle through a bunch of different ways. And so this lead gen thing is something that I find even in our mastermind that I run, the consulting clients I have, the businesses that I work with and partner with. It's the leads, stupid. It's the leads, and a lot of people will not have processes in place to generate leads. So what happens is it's kind of like this weird business roller coaster. I put some marketing dollars in, I generate some leads, I get some business, I then go up here, I execute that business. But while I'm executing that business, I shut these off or I don't pay attention to these lead sources because I'm executing. And then I execute on all that business, the deal's closed, da 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 da. And now, oh shit, oh my, I don't have any lead source. So then I start back here, and it's just this constant up and down roller coaster of lead gen versus executing.
But yeah, that's you. That's you letting other aspects of the business be the tail that wags the dog.
Right.
Oh, I got some sales coming in. Well, I'm going to go ahead and focus on that and say I'm glad you're working with us, and then take your eye off of lead generation. Like you have to have things in place to make sure that all those things are happening simultaneously. Because quite frankly, we live in the 21st century, and if you don't, as soon as you take your eye off the ball, I always say every day you wake up, things you do or don't do either are helping your business grow or it's stagnating it.
Right.
And no one on this on this banter here needs to tell you as you hear this, you don't need us to tell you or anybody else to tell you, at 1 o'clock on any given day, which direction your business is going. You
Okay.
don't need anybody to tell you that. So do something about it.
So, Jason, you have a YouTube channel called No Flipping Excuses, REI.
Mhm.
What are they going to find there when they go check out your YouTube channel?
So myself and my business partner, his name is Jason as well, Jason Lucchese. We sat down a little bit ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of all the talky talk out there, all these people that do surface level stuff and then never really tell you how to actually execute on whatever item it is. So we created a channel where every single video that we have on there breaks down whatever that is to close deals in the real estate investment space with nothing missing.
Wow.
So it's a channel that you can go to where if we're talking about tax delinquent, uh, start to finish, we tell you everything in that video. Here's what's going to happen. Here's a hurdle you're going to run into. Here's what people do. Here's what people say. Here's how you overcome it. Now you can close a lot of these. Now let's move on to the next one. So that's what that channel is designed for, is to impact every investor in America, whether you're brand new. And I challenge the seasoned ones. I'm like, start looking up what some of the companies that I've done this for. I don't care if you've been doing it 20 years. You will learn stuff that I know that you haven't put in place that'll help you run the business better and close and make more money.
Can we say that this is one of your lead generation tools?
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. People schedule a call. They're like, "That was great,
Right.
and I know you have a lot more, so I'd like to talk to you." Absolutely, it's a lead generation spot for us, for people that truly want to grow their business and be like, you know what? I think I would like you to hold my hand. They could schedule a call.
And it's evergreen. So for those of you who are hearing that phrase for the very first time, it just means it lives forever. It's content that whether you watch it today or you watch it, a year from now, it's content that's valuable and it continues to be a lead generator, working, as I like to say, smarter, not harder, right? I already
Yeah.
put your website up. I'm going to put it back up again right now, 2dayblueprint.com. Can they get your book over there as well? Is your book listed on your site?
Yeah. So once you schedule a call, so the 2 Day Blueprint just tells you what we do, ask you some questions. Be honest when you answer the question, so we can truly help you. And then schedule a call directly with me on my calendar. I will call you from my personal cell phone, and then once we have that, we've emailed you the confirmation. Then you will get emails with the different books and stuff that we have for things that you may want to dive into to help you. Everything that we do is to implement and grow your business and do it on purpose, very deliberately. But yes, you'll immediately be into the our ecosystem of sending you good information, scheduling a call, and then books are everywhere.
I think this is I want everyone to hear something that Jason said, because I think this ties into another point I was going to bring up later, but I think it's worth it now. Is I have a good friend of mine that's also very fast to market with a lot of stuff, and he is all over AI and all of this stuff, and he just came back from a big conference on social media. And I said, "What was your biggest takeaway?" And he said, without question, the biggest takeaway is that people, customers, are moving towards learning from, investing with, buying from people who they feel are authentic and don't hold anything back. And one of the things that Jason honestly has drilled into me for years is to not hold anything back when you're doing education. And so when you go watch a video on Jason's channel, it's very unlike most real estate investor videos,
Yep.
because they're not. Sometimes you feel like people are holding something back, like, oh, I call it the password paywall. It's like, you have to pay me to get past the password paywall in order to get the gold and the true value. And the reality is, what Jason has really done, probably better than anybody in the world, has thrown that out and said, listen, and he just did it. I'm authentic. You're going to book a call. It's going to be me. It's going to be my cell phone. Our videos, we unearth everything. That is really accurate. And it is a way of being that first off, has served me incredibly well over my career, because I just learned this from Jason and Caren both, of instead of trying to hold back the gold and hold back what you're doing, go get your own stuff out so you know what you're talking about and that it actually works, and then be authentic and true to who you are.
Yeah.
Give away the gold, and
Give
people
away the
won't know what.
farm. Yeah, I remember the exact conversation. I'm like, Casey, give away the farm. Casey talked to me. He's like, well, let's talk about that a little more. And I just interrupted him. Give away the farm. I want everybody to know how to do something, because then they see the real value that you bring to the marketplace.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just a concept still. Well, remove all the stuff back. Hey, this isn't a concept. Hey, when you're at closing, remember me.
Right. Casey, you and I were just talking about this before the show. I did a presentation for Casey's people about an AI platform that I absolutely love. And I just taught. I just gave as much as I possibly could, right? And we're going to do the same thing for another platform, because this is my sweet spot and I love to teach. And at the end of the day, we taught. What we said was, at the end of the day, who knows, somebody's going to say, you know what, I really like, I resonate with her, and I need her to do X, Y, and Z. It's not why I do it. That's a nice thing at the
Yeah.
end. The
Yeah.
reason I do it is I love watching people, the light bulb go off when you say
So,
something, and they literally just go, wow. And for
100%.
me,
But
right?
let's play this
Yeah.
out. So I'll tell the second half of the story. So this is a platform that we just started using. I really liked it. I took a page out of Jason's book. I don't really know the platform very well myself at all. Certainly not well enough to teach it and train it. So I asked if Caren would come in and take the group that we had sort of signed up for it and we want to train it to. And she taught it. She doesn't make any affiliate money from it. She doesn't really get any accolades from it. She got a bunch of people on my Facebook saying great job, yada yada yada. But what happened beyond that is two things. Number one, I've already had people reach out to me privately and say, hey, does she produce other people's podcasts, produce other people's shows? I'm like, yes. So she'll get clients from there. But right before we came on air this morning, she said, well, one of your members went into the community channel for the platform and wrote up an entire review. And I don't know if it was the CEO or the founder or who the company bigwig was, saw that, screenshot it, sent it back to Caren with the accolades. Now, I submit to everybody watching here that the hour of Caren's time that it took to make no money sharing that tool with my group did three things for her. Number one, it was great lead gen within that group because my group will end up hiring her. Number two, it gave her a chance to learn things about the platform she didn't even know, because we had people that were tweaked out on it and going and looking at it ahead of time. And that the accolade from the owner or the founder or the CEO or whatever, the accolade that did to build further value for her in connection to the platform, well worth the hour of her time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to make sure you guys follow us on businessbantershow.com. All sorts of good stuff over there. I have no idea what's over there, but I'm sure there's going to be good stuff over there at some point. Any last thoughts, guys? I mean, we have been bantering almost an hour. Oh my gosh. Any last thoughts?
For me, it's just that uh, there's no harm in taking action. And what I really, and this might seem simple, but like what I pray that as you're taking notes, listening, and getting to the finish line here, uh, if you just simply take action, I just want you to like internalize and feel with every fiber of your body that you understand that there was 100 people in a room, that now that you're actually taking action, there's really only 6 of you. Everyone else is overanalyzing. So you're already moving just by making the decision. You're moving faster than everybody else. So don't let your brain work against you and slow you down. That's what I would tell everybody. The moment you take one step, you're winning.
Agreed.
And I think we can all start this process faster or slower, bigger or smaller. Like I was just thinking, like, what is my takeaway from this in order for me to, because I am very much, as you both know, somebody that likes to live in my comfort zone. But when I do get out of it, I feel so much better. So it's reinforcing that.
Right.
I mean, both of you know this. I started yoga like 3 weeks ago. I did it 20 years ago. My business was cranking. I was in a great headspace. And then what did I do? I was like, I don't need it anymore. And I took a 20-year hiatus, right? Now I've been in it 3 weeks, and stuff is starting to shift and move outside of that practice. But even something as simple as going to a restaurant is so funny. I just had a conversation this morning. I was like, where are we going to dinner tonight? And the conversation was rattling through all of the restaurants that we've been to a bunch of times. We know the food, we know the chefs, we know the thing. It's like, okay, when I leave this house for this next foreseeable future, I'm always going to take a different route to wherever I'm going than I've done before, and trying things as easy as a new restaurant. Some you're going to like, some you're not going to like. Jason and I, when we were in Florida, we had this, I in my own head anyways, it was the fish spread tour, because we tried fish spread. I didn't even know what that was until I got to Florida. And then we literally tried all these different restaurants. I'd never even heard the word fish spread. And now I'm a fan only because I had a buddy take me out on a tour. So
They made you take action. I'm like, you're going to try a bite of this fish spread. I didn't know until I moved to Florida either, and it's on every dang.
What the heck is a fish spread?
Oh, it's so good. We'll do another business banter on that. It is smoked white fish, which is yummy, and
oh my God, I love that.
They chop up vegetables and make a paste out of it, and you put it on crackers, and you put jalapenos on it. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And out here in LA, the only place I've been able to find it are at Jewish delis.
Yeah, New York Deli on San Vicente has that white fish spread.
Yummy.
It's delicious.
So I would just say this has been great. Sounds really funny, but I can't wait to get off this show because I have so many things I want to do and get out of my own comfort zone. And so if you're watching, if you're listening, this is the time. As soon as you're done off the show, put in place some things to be a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more on purpose, a little bit more intentional. Get out of your comfort zone, even if it's just a step.
Mm-hmm.
But if we always just live inside our comfort zone, then you know where we're always going to be, inside our comfort zone.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great week. Thanks for joining us, Jason. Much appreciated. Bye, Case.
Thanks, guys.